us hand in hand, sooner than someday.
Okay, so we are rolling. This is officially the first episode of the Sooner Than Someday podcast. My name is Jeremiah Miller, and
I am Karis Miller. Welcome to our
welcome.
podcast. I'll introduce myself. My name is Karis, spelled very differently than people would think to pronounce it. I've lived in Colorado for 5 years now, and I'm from Montana originally.
well, that wasn't very hard at all.
No, it's not.
Oh, I also like how you said that your name is spelled differently than how people would think, and then you completely left that hanging.
No.
And I think you shouldn't say it now because
Okay,
so
yeah.
just let people
Yeah,
be annoyed.
yeah, sure. Why not? Cliffhangers, I suppose.
If you know how it's spelled, good for you.
It's going to be on the podcast, like on our
Oh,
picture.
I guess that got
Because
rid
it's
of
like
that.
Sooner Than Someday with Jeremiah and Karis Miller.
Yeah, I guess that kind of gets rid of the suspense.
Yeah,
Well, it was funny while it lasted.
it was. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay.
So now, in light of that, or were you done?
Oh, and I'm 23, almost 24.
23, almost 24.
My birthday's coming up soon.
You're going to be old soon, too.
No, I'm not. Shut up. I'm not going to be old.
Okay, so my name is
Okay.
Jeremiah Miller. I have been 22 for 5 years.
Not been 22. Lies.
I completely forgot what categories you went through.
Just where I lived.
Well, I live in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I have for 22 plus 5 years.
Oh my gosh. This podcast may or may not be a good idea. Giving you the free range to talk through a microphone. I'm sorry for everyone who wants to listen, all two of you.
It
Hi,
was your-
Mom.
I just want to say this was your idea.
It was. Okay. Let's talk about hobbies.
Hobbies.
Could be fun to describe each other's hobbies. Like, you can describe what I do and I can describe what you do.
That sounds like a good idea. Do you want to start? You want me
Yeah,
to?
let me start.
Okay.
So
You're
Jeremiah
really eager
here.
to do that.
He's got I got some good stuff here. Jeremiah, he locks himself in a room and tinkers on
How are you going to end this? Because this is very open-ended right now. There's a lot of conclusions that could be drawn based off what you just said. We need some...
he tinkers on objects and makes sound waves.
I suppose that's accurate.
Yeah. Jeremiah is a musician.
Objects.
Objects. He likes to make music and he's actually really good at it. Let's just throw in our first plug-in. If you haven't heard of Dead Set Saints, you should go listen to them on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever else you listen to your music. They have new songs coming out.
We do have new songs coming out. We have some out already that you can hear, and we'll have some new ones next year.
Yeah. So that's his hobbies. I don't know if you have any
Tinkering
other
on
hobbies.
Objects.
Tinkering on objects
I feel
to
like
make
I
sound
have,
waves.
I feel like I have too many hobbies, or too many things I'd like to.
Too many things you want to do.
Yeah, like
You want to fly a plane?
I want to fly a plane on a regular basis. That would be fun. Expensive, but fun.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all your I think just hobbies in general are expensive.
Yeah, because like the other things I think of that I would like to do are like woodworking or metalworking or shooting, hunting, that kind of stuff. All things that
yeah.
require just big old gear purchases.
Yeah.
And so I better stick with the one music for now.
Yeah, for
if
now.
we need to, if we're going to keep paying our bills.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, yeah, I think that was adequate.
Thank you.
So Karis, she is very crafty. She likes to DIY stuff. A lot of the decorations around our house are derived from such hobbies.
Yeah, they may look expensive, but they aren't.
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about DIYing sometimes. Yeah. More recently, in the last couple of years, you've really gotten into reading,
Yes, I am a big reader now.
like a fiction, fantasy kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I'm pushing her through the Aragon series right now,
Yeah, I'm going through them slowly because they're such big books.
and meanwhile, she was like literally almost done with the whole Harry Potter series. So I don't care how big she thinks they are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's really good with kids. She's a nanny.
Okay, now we're not getting into hobby stuff. This is
Sure,
just
this-
my life. What else do I like to do? There's like 2 other things that you haven't mentioned that are kind of big, and you haven't mentioned them.
Oh, now I'm on the spot.
Yeah. It deals with cameras.
Oh, duh. Duh. That's like why we're doing this.
Why are we doing this?
I mean, we're not filming this particular one, but you like photography and videography.
Mm-hmm.
Trying not to go too far out of the hobbies and into life, but like,
Oh yeah, what my career will be.
yeah. So like you're finishing up your marketing major now. So you've just had a knack for content creation, and you have a really good eye for photography scenes and whatnot. She also has her own vlogs that,
Yes. Another plugin?
yeah, another plug. So it's Jaren Char Vlogs on YouTube, and it's our adventures. We like to travel a lot. That's one of both of our hobbies.
Yeah, the name is also just Karis Miller on there. But like the @ name is Jaren Char Vlogs.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So go look at my video. I have a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, so you got my hobbies. Good job.
good. Like I knew that. It's just
I'm glad we know each other after almost 3 years of marriage.
yeah. Oh, that's another thing. We've both been married to each other for 3 years.
We're married.
Both wasn't really a necessary word, but
Well, all right. So there you go. You know a little bit more about us. Now let's kind of go into what we want this podcast to be about. Why are we doing a podcast?
yeah. So, like I said before, this was something that you kind of brought up you wanted to do. And it seems like it's just kind of like for fun. Like
For funsies.
for fun for us. And if you guys get joy,
If you guys can get joy.
you can see we're very new at this. So if you stick around long enough for me to not mess up my words, thank you in advance.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if you guys get joy out of this too and enjoy listening to us, that's awesome. So we're doing this for you guys, for us, and it's also for little plugs about our life, apparently, what we're learning about as we grow together with God and as we study the scriptures and just what's
Yeah.
going on. I don't know. Do you have anything
Just
to
like
add?
a fun podcast that's Christian based. You know, there's not too many out there. Like, we'll talk about God and our what Christian life is like and how we're growing, but we'll also just have fun topics to talk about also. So if you want to be entertained, like we're very entertaining, I think. Or that's just in my head. We may not be funny at all.
We'll find out, I suppose.
We'll find out. But yeah, I think this is going to be a fun podcast. The podcast name is Sooner Than Someday, and we'll get into that later when we talk about how we met.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I assume they'll have heard a clip of that little bit by this
Yes.
point. Yes.
We need to finish the song.
So it's
but
a little bit of retroactive production
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
You've already heard
Yeah, so that
what I
little-
need to do.
yeah, the little clip at the beginning is a song. So we'll get into that later. Stick around. But
Yeah.
for now, let's introduce a segment that we want to have in our podcast. What is God teaching us recently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you like thinking about this before? Like, or is this just kind of,
I was thinking
Right off
about
the
it a
top of
little
your head.
bit. I
What-
have some things in here.
why don't you go ahead
Okay,
first?
I'll go first. So lately, God has been teaching me that even in the waiting, He sees us, hears us, and cares for us. Even if it may not seem like it and you're not really getting the answer you want right now, God is still good and He still cares for us. And He's not going to like abandon us. With whatever you're praying for, whatever you're waiting for, the answer might not be what you're wanting right now. It might just be wait, because His timing is everything and it's perfect. And we may not know what it is, but it's good. And yeah, like there's been things that just kind of in our life that I won't necessarily go into detail, but just that we've been praying for and not necessarily have been
Seeing any
seeing
headway
anything.
on it?
Yeah, but this week I've just seen so many things like on social media and while reading my Bible and in church, literally everything was about just a topic that we've been praying for, and it may not be happening right now, but just everything that I've seen, whether it's a video on Instagram or a sermon we're hearing, it's just really shown me that God is still there and he sees us and cares for us.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool and really encouraging too, especially in a time that has been a little bit harder and
those moments where
give up on things, but
where God kind of lets you know, he's like, hey, I still see you. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't dropped the ball on this.
Yeah.
Those are really encouraging moments.
Yeah.
And it's such a like concept, like a simple concept that of course we like know, God's in control in his timing. We say that all the time, but to really meditate on that and grasp that is a comforting thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to, like, it's easy to say God's got this in his hands. It's his timing. It's perfect, but it's a little bit harder to actually put it into practice. And so when those little things come up, it's like, oh yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
God's got me.
Probably a good thing too with that is to look back because, hindsight is 20/20. Like, you look back on situations in your life where, you're in a similar state waiting for something, and it wasn't happening at the time. And then now it either did or didn't happen, but you see the good in it and why God orchestrated it the way he did.
Yeah. I think so. My grandma actually does this. She keeps a prayer journal and has for years and years and years. And she always tells us grandkids to keep a prayer journal because that way you can see how God has been faithful through your life. And you can just be thankful and praise him for it. And I think that's a really cool thing to do is just keep that and
Helps
see
to
where
look
God
back
has.
and remember.
Yeah. Like the prayers that God has answered and whether it's how you wanted it or not, but just how faithful God is.
Yeah. Yeah. It always ends with that same outcome that he is faithful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Oh, let's see. Specific things that God's teaching me. It's kind of been a gradual thing. I mean, gosh, even starting from when we were dating and now married for 3 years. I think a sense of discipline, kind of self-control, like one of the fruits of the Spirit, that I think he's been instilling into me. Self-control and discipline discipline isn't one of the fruits of the Spirit by name, but the aspect of being a godly man who's intentional about his faith and, not just because I grew up in church, but because I've seen God's faithfulness and because I'm studying and trying to grow closer to him and he's drawing me closer. So, I'm happy to say, I haven't even told you this yet, but I finished the Old Testament.
Hey!
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even... I guess you were on the Minor Prophets at that point, so that
So,
goes pretty fast.
Yeah, I was
Yay! Wait, round of applause.
Yay, we can throw a sample there.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, no, I just got convicted as a Christian, and I'll go through this. If you don't know who we are, this will give you a pretty deep insight or to what people know about me is that I am a nerd.
Yeah, that's true.
So these last 10 years have been a fantastic time to be alive if you are a Star Wars or a Marvel fan. So whether it's animated shows or movies or crossovers or all of that. So you have all these shows of all these stories intertwining and stuff. And I, specifically on the Star Wars side of things, I can tell you the most minute details of the most obscure shows.
Yeah.
So I was a little convicted then as a Christian. I was like, I could tell you all of this random lore, random tidbits, Easter eggs, all of that. And it's like, my mind was open to the capacity of what it was capable of. I was like, if I can be a nerd about this and I say I believe in the God of the universe and he has given us his word through the ages that is inerrant and useful for every aspect of life, I need to switch my focus. And so I got really convicted. And so now I am happy to say that I was able to turn that conviction into motivation to actually say as a Christian, yeah, of course I've read the whole Bible. How many Christians today haven't? And I mean, it's common, but it was still nonetheless convicting to me. So I was like, I need to make this happen. And then I need to make sure I'm going through the whole thing on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
I'm through the Old Testament now, and I'm.
You started doing that, beginning of this year?
I think so. It might be like a year to the date, actually. Not to the date exactly, but
Yeah, you did start before I did.
yeah, I think I started before the end of the year last year as well. So it was a long time. Lots of, I'll be honest, I don't comprehend most of it because a lot of it was like listening to it on my commute to work, and then I would like re-listen to it. So there was a lot of repetition, which helped. But then I kind of switched into doing it in the mornings before work, and actually actively reading it. So that was slower, but I seem to comprehend more. But God has been teaching me that this is real deal stuff. This isn't a clan or what's the word, fandom, if you will, that we associate ourselves
Bible
with.
fandom.
Yeah, that this is we're talking about eternity. We're talking about the God who created the universe and how He's set the rules of the universe to work and what His purposes are, and the fact that we will spend eternity after we die in one place or the other, and it's just real deal stuff. So I'm not ignoring it anymore, and I'm not writing it off as self-help or being a better person. It is he is my king who I get down on one knee and I pound my fist against my chest.
Real manly things.
Yeah, exactly. So but I'm excited to be moving into the New Testament now because I am more familiar with that. And I feel like a lot of that will be more practical for everyday living. But I might understand a good bit more because of all the references to the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So, and then,
Cool.
yeah, so that's kind of where I've been at
That's
spiritually lately.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. For any of you people out there listening, strongly encourage you to read through the whole Bible and just read your Bible every day. It's so important to get can't say that word. Familiarized?
Yeah,
That's the word?
that's the one.
With the Bible and God's word, because it can come in handy in times like what we're in, where there's so many false teachers and
Yeah.
just the world is
I'll take it a
Crazy.
step further than come in handy. I'll say it's essential.
essential. Yes. Sword of the Spirit.
Yeah. Well, and if you'll indulge a little bit of a tangent here, the importance of biblical literacy, I think, the effects of the lack of biblical literacy are just running rampant because people view God as whatever they feel like He should be. And it may or may not be aligned with how He actually is. And He's revealed how He actually is in the scriptures that have been passed down through time. And He's too powerful of a God to let those scriptures have been anything less than what He wants us to have today. So if you have questions about like, what's lost in translation and, can we trust the Bible? The answer is yes.
Yes.
God is the one who inspired it, and I'm sure He's had His hand on it through time. So
And there is nothing new under the sun.
yeah, absolutely. That's from the Bible.
Amen.
And if you're if your sense of morals is not defined by the Bible, it's defined by, just generic, do unto others, the golden rule, do unto others as you would
Which
have.
is in the Bible.
Yeah, guess who said that? Literally Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
So the Bible, the God who created the universe and gave us the Bible, is the one who set the rules of morality, and there's no morality outside of it.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that is my little tangent, and
That's
I
a good
encourage you.
tangent.
Thank you. Thank God.
Thank God. Praise all to Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah.
Read your Bible. Read it all through. The Old Testament is just as important as the New Testament.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, anywho, let's move on. So we were talking about the name of our podcast. So that kind of coincides with how we met and our engagement story. If we would like to talk about how we met, just
Sure.
kind of letting the listeners in on our life and who we are and what happened to us.
Do you
in
want
the
to
past.
take like a two perspective view on like just up to how we met? Like, so like
yeah.
you moving to Colorado and me watching you move to Colorado.
Watching me move to Colorado.
That's a little more.
That's so creepy.
That's not what happened.
No.
I didn't watch you move.
No.
I saw you when you got here.
Yeah.
A little later than you
Yeah.
got here.
I mean, we can just.
Let's just tell the story.
Yeah. Okay. So I moved to Colorado 5 years ago after I graduated high school when I was 18 years old, and I moved here for college. That worked out really well, all those plans. Anywho. So I actually have some family that live here. I have my grandma and some aunts and uncles and cousins. So I did know people around here, and that's kind of how I got introduced to Jeremiah. My cousins were leading a college group through our church, and they invited me to go because it had been a couple weeks since I moved here and didn't have any friends yet. So they're like, here, come hang out with us.
You're
so
just there for the community.
I'm just there for the community. If you know, you know.
Of our small pool of podcast listeners, there's a good chance they'll.
Yeah. So I went to this college group and met a bunch of people that I became really great friends with, and one of them was Jeremiah Miller. Although I don't think you were at the first one I was at.
No, I was kind of in and out of that group,
You
just
were.
availability wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I met a bunch of friends that we all hung out with, like Gabe. If y'all know Gabe Hargrave.
He's got his own podcast,
He
by the way.
does have his own podcast. Let's shout out Gabe Hargrave.
Another plug.
podcast.
Yeah, Gabe or
I think
Gabriel.
it's Gabe.
It's on YouTube as either, Gabe Hargrave Podcasts. And he's got some good stuff on there.
Yeah.
He's got some really good
Yeah.
stuff on there.
Yeah. Anywho, little tangent. So yeah, we met at the college group, and my first knowledge of you was when you were trying to get to the college group and you got lost because you have no sense of direction, and
so
you had
funny.
to call someone to figure out how to get to the house.
I just have to acknowledge how ironic that is, because all our marriage is now when we're driving places is you just being like, do you need directions?
Yeah, that's true.
So considering that was the first experience you had of me, and the fact that we've now been married for 3 years, I'm feeling pretty good.
You're consistent.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
I mean, your point of view here
Okay. All right. My point
when
of
you
view.
first met me.
Yeah, so I was lost driving to a college group that our church was doing. It was just like young adults, me and some longtime friends from our church at the time. And Karis was in this group all of a sudden. I remember specifically you had braided hair and a blue hoodie on.
I was comfy cozy,
Yeah,
not
and
even looking cute.
Oh, I thought it was attractive. But we didn't start dating right away, though.
No.
We became friends. You look like you
I
have
do
something to
have
say.
one more thing to say. So we met at the college group, but then like a week later, I ended up going to church with everyone. And we're all standing in a circle after church talking. Jeremiah comes up and he reintroduces himself. Like he forgot who I was.
No, I'm just a nervous wreck when it comes. I was not good with talking to girls back
You
in the
really
day.
were.
I just wasn't.
But it just kind of cracked me up because I'm like, oh yeah. Like I didn't tell him we met already, but it was just
You
kind
were
of
so
funny
nice.
in my mind.
You were just so polite, and you just played along.
Yeah. So that was another thing. So we became really good friends for about a year before we started dating, just going on all these adventures together in our tight little group.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where did we go? We went to...
We had I guess by the time we went to San Diego, we were already dating.
Was that our first...
That was our first trip that we were dating on.
But
But
didn't we go on a trip in our...
where to?
I don't...
We didn't do like you.
Maybe not.
No, I think you and one of our other friends in the group had like a road trip through
Yeah,
Moab and
yeah.
stuff. And then,
But yeah, we would just go on like drives into the mountains,
Yeah.
hanging out, like talking.
specifically, we would do like McDonald's ice cream runs
Yeah.
like 2 hours
Yeah.
away.
Oh.
Like just to drive through the
Like
mountains.
at nighttime, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of went on for a year. And then I told Jeremiah, I think I like him. And it was very awkward but we got through that. And then we went on our first date.
I may or may not have like not known what to do and offered to hug her in the moment. So,
Too good. Again, he was very awkward around women, and I mean, as we became friends, it got a little bit better.
Maybe
but
that's what it was. Is I was just comfortable with you as a friend, and so I didn't mind being my weird self.
oh, well, that's nice.
Apparently worked.
I guess. I mean, we're here now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went on first date, and that went really well.
It did. I took you
And
to
then-
Panera Bread.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't the main. It wasn't the main event. But then we went to a place called Main Event
But
for like bowling and laser tag, and
Yeah,
there
that
was
was
like
fun.
nobody there because it was like a weeknight, I think, and so we were playing laser tag with the staff and ourselves.
yeah, I mean, it was a perfect date for us because it was like fun yet awkward, and it was just
Everything a first date should be.
yeah. So it was good. And then so we dated for 11 months, and through COVID. So
yeah.
we were a relationship that lasted through COVID. That was a rough time.
It was.
We couldn't see each other very often.
Yeah. Well, yeah, your grandma and my parents were both like, back when there was no data and everything was just up in the air.
mean,
it was better safe than sorry.
yeah.
And they were like, yeah, don't hang out.
Yeah.
And of course, we're just like, well, that's stupid.
We're like in love and can't see each other.
Lots of, it was weird how those rules were bent. We would
Yeah.
like,
We'd hang out outside.
we'd
so
like
that
go,
it was like
go
better.
on, we'd go on a hike together and then
Yeah.
we'd like, leave after the hike. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'll see you for another one tomorrow.
Yeah, it was really dumb. But we definitely got in shape during that time because we were doing a lot of hikes. But 11 months after our first date, to the exact date. So our first date was September 26th. And then our engagement was August 26th.
August 26th. Yeah.
My mom's birthday.
The engagement was your mom's birthday, and to skip ahead a little bit, the wedding was my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
So,
They
don't know.
said it was fine.
Yeah, they both were okay with it.
You want to talk about our engagement because
Yes.
this is kind of your field?
Yes. Okay. So, one of our big things we like to do was I had a massive Yukon XL at the time, and it was perfect for star watching on the top of the car. And that was one of those things we like to do for a date. So we had gone out to dinner. It was our month.
Garden.
It was our month anniversary, not our month, but our 11 month.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a year anniversary. It was a month anniversary.
And it wasn't like out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Because
so
of
it,
that.
yeah, it was a date. It
Yeah.
was a specific date. But also, I never took her to Olive Garden because I was like, that's such a cheesy cliche date. But turns
Olive
out
Garden is one of my favorite places.
she's like in love with Italian food, specifically at Olive Garden. So it worked. And so I had this plan. So we went to dinner, and then we were going to grab the blankets and stuff from my house that we put on top of the car so we can go look at
because
stars.
he said he forgot them.
Yes. I didn't forget them. I left them behind
He
intentionally.
purposefully.
And I had this bad habit of anytime I went into my parents' house, it just ended up in a long conversation because we like talking.
Yeah,
So I have this all in mind, and I'm planting these seeds in her mind, as we're driving back to my parents' house from from Olive Garden, and I'm I'm going to go in, I'm just going to get the blankets, and I'm going to come back out. I'm not going to talk. And so I go in there, but I'm not getting blankets. I am setting up everything to propose to her in our house. So
I was lied to.
so my dad had twinkling lights in our backyard gazebo, and we had cameras set up and whatnot. Oh, and I had a little video that was a slideshow of pictures of our time dating, and
It was at sunset too, so it was really pretty.
yeah, it was. So so while I'm doing all of this, she thinks I'm just in there talking with my parents, and so I text her once I have everything ready. I'm like, I got talking. You better just come in.
I had no idea. I was like, okay, I'll just come in and say hi, whatever.
So she comes in, and there's this video on the screen set up to play, and it just says "press play, Karis," or something like that. And it was the slideshow and the song, and
So I'm just sitting there, watching these pictures and videos of our life throughout the 11 months of dating and 1 year of friendship. just sitting on the couch by myself watching this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I was
getting nervous.
Was that the point you knew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once I saw the press play, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
fair enough.
this is going to happen.
Gotcha.
Like,
So-
I had speculations, but I had no idea how you were going to do it. Like, I thought you might do it, like, up when we were watching Stars or something. And so it was, like,
Yeah.
really out of the blue. Like, come on in. I was like, okay, I'm just going to say hi. No,
So-
I wasn't.
So I had her duped until she got inside.
Yeah.
So after the video ended, it said, "Go out back," and we had our porch and the gazebo was set up there, and I was standing in the middle of it, and then I played her a song I wrote.
A song?
A song, the name of which was "Sooner Than Someday," because that song was kind of written out of a time when we were engaged, and we're like, "Oh, we can't wait to be married and whatnot."
No, we weren't engaged.
We weren't engaged.
You wrote the song before we were engaged.
Oh, duh. Because I was just proposing. Oh, that's funny.
But we did want to get married, and we had been talking about it for a while. And
Right.
we're like, can't wait till we're like married and like,
I guess I did write the song for the proposal too.
yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't like something I just had sitting. Yeah, because that was the first time you heard it.
Yeah.
I'm having to review all this in my mind right now.
Uh-huh.
So the song was about how, we wanted to be married, but we weren't yet, and it's gonna happen, sooner
Sooner than someday.
Yeah, because we would always say, someday.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's sooner than someday, and that sooner is today.
And it's crazy. It's almost been 3 years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Time has flown by.
Time has flown by.
But yeah, so that is kind of why we named this podcast Sooner Than Someday, because of the song he wrote that kind of changed our lives
Yeah.
for the better.
Yeah, and that's and the sooner than someday aspect continues, kind of going back to what I was talking about spiritually with the Bible, because eternity is a reality that we will all experience in the same way that I have plans to play, as on the worship team at church tomorrow, or we have plans to clean the house today. Those are things that are going to happen. And in even a more real sense, eternity is going to happen sooner than someday. So someday it will happen.
Someday it will happen.
So we live our lives according to that knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we met, and that's how we got engaged. And then, maybe another podcast, we can kind of go into the whole getting married within 5 months of engagement.
Oh, yeah.
And our wedding
be a good
during
topic.
COVID and all that fun stuff. So,
Yep.
yeah, stay tuned for that podcast.
Oh, and if you couldn't gather, she did say yes after I finished the song.
I guess we left them on a cliffhanger, huh?
I finished the song, and then I knelt down and proposed,
yeah.
and then she said yes.
Yeah.
Obvious, but complete the story.
And I do have a video about our engagement, too,
Oh, yes.
on my YouTube channel, if you want to watch it.
On Karis Miller YouTube channel, Jaron Char Vlogs.
Yeah.
Plug number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
And you can hear the song in full as it was performed that night.
Yes. And it's a really good song. And so then, a couple months ago, we decided to actually record it ourselves because I now play guitar. Not good, but I play it. And so we both started recording the song, and
Yep.
we still got to do some things on it.
Yeah. We're not quite done. As
No.
of this moment of recording the podcast, we're not done. But by the time you hear the podcast, hopefully,
It'll be done.
it will be done because you're going to hear. You already heard
Yeah.
it in the intro.
You already heard it.
So that's the beginning of the podcast and the reason for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit about us, and hopefully we'll just keep having fun on this podcast with some fun topics. If you have any topics you want us to talk about, whether that's
Text us. You probably
us.
already have our number.
whether that's marriage advice or fun questions to ask each other, whatever that may be. I know there's a comment section on Spotify for your podcast. I'm sure there's a spot on Apple Podcasts, and you can comment on our YouTube video too. And yeah, we would love it if you would like to like and subscribe to this podcast. You can rate it also, I think.
Yeah.
And this podcast will be kind of wherever you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully we'll just keep putting out podcasts for you
Yeah.
guys to enjoy.
Yep.
So to end our podcast, I'm going to tell a dad joke
Oh,
because
yes.
Jeremiah loves dad jokes, puns, whatever that may be. Like, he is always saying one. And sometimes it's annoying, but, you know, you love him for it.
Here you are encouraging
So
it.
here I am encouraging it. So hopefully this podcast will be out before Christmas because I guess it's not a Christmas one. It's just kind of a winter one.
Okay.
But here it is. What do snowmen eat for lunch?
I also pride myself on being able to figure these out. So
Give you a minute.
give me just a second.
Can we get the Jeopardy song playing? Do, 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 do,
Snowmen
do,
eat
do,
for lunch.
do, 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 do,
Probably not carrots. That would smell weird.
do. See, this is the kind of stuff. Just stupid. Like,
Oh, what do they eat for lunch?
icebergers.
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 Oh, iceberg. Oh, okay. I
Do you
get
get
it.
it?
I get it. I get
Do you
it.
get
now.
it? Icebergers.
Yeah. I thought it was like cheeseburgers, but with ice, and I was like, man. But then iceberg, the word, it's a merging of. I get it.
But
There you go.
glad you got it.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for listening to our very first episode of Sooner Than Someday. And we hope you like it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys sooner than someday.
Bye.
'Cause sooner than someday, I'll start each day right by your side. No, it's been a long wait for us to finally start our lives together forever. Chasing Jesus hand in hand. Sooner than someday.